It's now my belief that the federal government intends to charge me with crimes. These charges will be entirely false, based on lies.
Yes, the lawfare is ramping up, and not just against Donald Trump now. Looks like Team Kamala Harris is extremely concerned about certain politicians, really anyone, including people who may have previously been an ally, any politicians speaking out about how massive, unchecked, illegal immigration has destroyed cities across this country. Now, I am probably more liberal than maybe some of my viewers in terms of immigration. I want it to be a nice, smooth process so people can come in here. Obviously criminal background checks, things like that. But I don't have any problem, obviously, with people coming from this country. That's called the American dream. What we have now is massive unchecked criminals flying over our border and taking over cities like in Aurora and Colorado, questionable activities in Springfield, Ohio. New York City has completely fallen apart, has completely fallen to massive unchecked immigration, which is, of course, ironic given that that's where Lady Liberty stands and where, many people landed in the early days of this country. But looks like people who are speaking out against it are getting the full fervor of Kamala's FBI. And make no mistake about it, this is Kamala Harris. Joe Biden is a head of lettuce. He's not running anything. This is the Democrats. This is Kamala Harris squashing anybody who exposes their bad policies. And this is insane. If you weren't awake before, certainly many Democrats, many New Yorkers, I feel like, I know it's crazy, maybe election day will come out and I'll be totally wrong, but a lot of people have felt like, hey, New York's actually in play. Well, this might actually push over the edge. This morning, the FBI raided the New York City mayor, former police officer, and it's wild. Now, here's my thing. Most politicians are scumbags and corrupt, and it is entirely likely that Eric Adams may be guilty of whatever it is that they're saying he did. My point is that this government, this Department of Justice, will selectively enforce who they arrest, who they flex on, right? Look at the confidential documents, right? When Joe Biden did it, he was just a well-meaning old man who wasn't really sure what he was doing. When Donald Trump did it, it was the biggest story in the news for a month, and the FBI raided his home in Mar-a-Lago, scared his family, all this kind of stuff, right? The Department of Justice has been weaponized by the Democrats. Eric Adams becomes the first New York City mayor indicted in historic federal, so Kamala's team, probe claims feds persecuting him over migrant crisis. Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted by a grand jury on charges connected to a federal probe, told the Post. As the defiant chief executive claimed, he was being persecuted by the federal government for speaking out about the city's migrant crisis. I 100% believe that. Now, it is also entirely likely that he's guilty of whatever it is that they're charging him for. The historic indictment is the first for a sitting New York City mayor. It is expected to be unsealed today by the U.S. Attorney Damian Williams. According to sources, the news was first reported by the New York Times. Adams will surrender to authorities early next week. Sources say details about the exact accusations remain unclear, but they are believed to be connected to allegations of Turkish government funneling money into his mayoral campaign. Something he probably had no idea of, and probably not something he will be prosecuted or he will be found guilty of, but it'll be something that is meant to scare other people from speaking out against this, for talking about just how insane some of these city takeovers have been. Sources say the mayor is facing charges as acting as an unregistered foreign agent after accepting donations from foreign entities. Again, did he even know what was going on? It's difficult to say. I always knew that if I stood my ground for New Yorkers that I would be a target, and I became one, Adams said in a statement to the Post. If I am charged, I am innocent, and I will fight this with every ounce of my strength and spirit. In a video statement released later, Adams said he would not step down and pledged to fight these injustices with every ounce of my strength and spirit. I will request an immediate trial so the New Yorkers can hear the truth. Does that sound like a guilty man to you? Not to me. New Yorkers know my story. They know where I come from. I've been fighting injustice all my life. That fight has continued as your mayor, despite our pleas with the federal government, did nothing as its broken immigration policies overloaded our shelter system with no relief. I put the people of New York before party and politics. This is, again, this hits at the local level, right? Everybody in New York's going to be talking about this. It's not like, oh, it's yet another crazy Trump lawsuit. I mean, even like when I upload videos about, oh, there was another attempt on Trump's life, it's like, people, it's like glossing over. But everybody in New York's going to be talking about, oh, the mayor. Oh, did you hear what they did to the mayor? Is that a New York accent? I don't think so. But anyway, and for what? It sure seems coincidental that he's been saying, hey, every one of my hotels is jam-packed to the gills with illegal migrants that are getting flown here by the government. The reason the U.S. government, in my opinion, is able to report, shorter, smaller immigration numbers is because now they're just flying them direct to the destination instead of having them cross the border. A representative for the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York, which is prosecuting the case, declined to comment. Sources told the Post that two others, Adams' top campaign fundraiser, Brianna Suggs, and his director of Asian Affairs, Winnie Greco, are expected to also be named in the indictment. And again, I will take this opportunity to remind people that an indictment is not a guilty verdict. It is just a formal accusation of wrongdoing. It means nothing. It doesn't mean they proved anything in court. That's why they say, oh, Donald Trump's been indicted on this and indicted on that. It doesn't matter. It's like getting a letter sent home from school. At least all others are also expected to be charged, though the Post could not immediately confirm their identities. Following the news of the indictment, cops set up barriers outside of Gracie May's mansion, the mayor's home, and forced reporters back from the house. At 11:50 p.m., Adams' ex-Frank staff, Frank Carone, emerged from the property. When asked by reporters whether Adams was distracted by legal trouble, he said not at all. Then a half hour later, 3 black SUVs were seen leaving the mansion with their emergency lights flashing. It's uncertain how this indictment is related to a sweeping September 4th raid that was targeted several high-profile Adams administration officials, which sent City Hall into a weeks-long tailspin as news reports emerged of investigations focused on alleged corruption among the mayor's inner circle. By Wednesday morning, word had spread that, quote, senior City Hall officials would soon be indicted, sending staff into a panic throughout the day. An indictment's unveiling will come after federal prosecutors recently demanded City Hall cough up all communications between the Adams administration, Turkey, and 5 other foreign countries amid the long-run probe. Now, do you think he'd be getting indicted if he took money from Israel? Nope. Every one of our politicians practically feels like they take money directly or indirectly from foreign identities, foreign entities, foreign countries, in some cases directly. Israel, for example, pumps millions and millions of dollars into the United States elections. Nobody has a problem with that, right? China pumps money in here, but China, all this stuff, right? It doesn't matter. We can go back to Tenet Media. If they had unknowingly taken money from Israel instead of Russia, do you think it would have been a news story? Nope, probably not. So I'm talking about the double standard, the ridiculous double standard that is being deployed by this country's Department of Justice. He's just a well-meaning old man. Papa Joe Biden didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know he couldn't do that. Versus Donald Trump took classified documents to his bathroom in Mar-a-Lago. The entire America's in danger because of it. It's all the initial, probably the initial, investigations and stuff were probably meant to silence him. Now, is he guilty of it, or are campaign people on his staff guilty of it? I don't know. We'll have to see. But I remain firmly certain that the reason he's being prosecuted is because he spoke out about the migrants. The national government has turned its back on New York City since early 2023. He also said the White House needed to appoint a person who would be dedicated to a decompression strategy at the border. The migrant crisis is expected to cost the city $12 billion by 2026. By the way, not cost the city, cost the city's taxpayers. Vote Trump, by the way. And Adams repeatedly pled for Washington to provide more funds to Gotham. I am lost. I'm confused on this topic. 20 months later, and we're still talking about this issue, and it has inundated the city. Adams told Fox News back in December, the U.S. Attorney's Office for dramatic Southern District of New York has remained tight-lipped about the probe. Again, the FBI seizing his phones, all this stuff. FBI seizes Adams' phone, searches, storms where he lives. This is all, we told you to shut up, we told you to shut up, we told you to shut up, and then you didn't shut up. We don't know. It's entirely possible that there are corrupt people that were taking kickbacks or whatever, but the reason they're prosecuting him is because, at least in my opinion, is because he has spoken out very loudly, and as a Democrat, about the migrant crisis, crushing his city. It's so weird, that you have a Democrat saying, "Hey, this is bad," and then suddenly he gets federally indicted, right? Isn't that curious? Doesn't that at least activate your almonds a little bit? Like maybe, what's going on here? That's a little weird. Yeah, me too. I hope you enjoyed and were informed by this video. If you were, please do leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, please do subscribe or follow down below. We'll talk to you again real soon.